Do you ever feel like your emotions are too much to handle? You're not broken, and you're not alone. Let me teach you a framework that helps me, even as a therapist, when I feel overwhelmed by my big feelings. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Missy Kleins and welcome to Big Feelings. The last video we learned what feelings are and why they matter. So today we're going to learn what to do with them. Because when we get overwhelmed with feelings, it can be really difficult to know what to do next to get through them. So that's why I created my 5-step framework to provide guidance on what to do next. So let's get started. This is my IRULE framework. Step-by-step guidance to help you manage your big feelings with confidence. So we will start here. When you are overwhelmed with big feelings, pause, take a deep breath, and say to yourself, I rule. I named it this because when I'm overwhelmed with my big feelings, I'm not very kind to myself. My inner critic comes out, and that voice is usually pretty loud. So this is a way for me to show myself some self-compassion and remind myself, like, I can do this, like I rule. So I'm hoping that'll empower you to feel the same way when you use this framework. The I stands for identify. First, identify the feeling. Knowing what you are feeling will help you manage it. And you can use the feelings wheel for help, and the definitions lists that are on my webpage can help you too. R is for recognize. Next, recognize where the feeling is showing up in your body. Do a body scan from your head down to your feet. Pay attention to areas of tension or discomfort. U is for understand. Take some time to figure out what's behind the feeling and understand what triggered it. If you can't figure it out right away, that's okay. It can be hard sometimes to figure out why you're feeling what you're feeling. So you can go on to the next step and then go back. L is for let yourself feel. Time to feel your feeling. Let yourself just sit with the feeling without trying to change it, deny it, or push it away. It's real and it's valid. And this step can be really challenging, so it takes some practice. E is for employ. Employ your coping tools so you can manage your big feeling. So let's work through an example so you can see this in action. I is for identify. You are feeling bad. It's an off feeling. You're not exactly sure what's going on, but you know that you don't like it. So you go to your feelings wheel to see what makes sense for you. You know happiness doesn't make sense, so you rule that out. And you rule out surprise. And you rule out anger, because you're not really feeling angry. You look at disgust, but none of those words make sense for how you're feeling either. So you narrow it down between sadness and fearful, because you're definitely feeling a little depressed. Something's going on. And there might be some anxiety going on as well. So this is where you're starting. Next, you move on to recognize. And you do a body scan from your head to your toes to see where you are feeling some tension or discomfort in your body. You start with your head, but you don't really feel any tension there and you don't have a headache. But you do notice that your cheeks are flushed and warm. You go down a little further and you notice that there is a lot of tension in your neck and shoulders. You also notice a feeling like a lump in your throat, like something's stuck there and it's not able to come out. You breathe and you notice there's no tension or discomfort in your chest, but you do feel a tightness, like a pit in your stomach. You also realize just in general, there's a sense of heaviness in your body, like you just feel blah. When you think about it a little further, You realize that when you have flushed cheeks, that tends to be when you're embarrassed. Tension in your neck and shoulders tends to happen when you feel stressed. That lump in your throat, like you want to say something, but it's not coming out, that comes up when you have a fear of judgment. Like you're afraid to say what you want to say because you're not sure how other people will receive it. That pit in your stomach usually comes up when you're feeling anxious. And that general heaviness in your body is usually linked to sadness. So it makes sense that fearful and sadness are the two emotions that you narrow down. Next, you go to understand. And you ask yourself, what was I doing before I felt this way? And you think about it and you're not quite sure, but then you remember. You were scrolling through social media and you came across a post that made you feel bad about yourself. You saw that someone you went to school with was celebrating something. They either have a new house when you're still living at home with your parents, or they are celebrating an engagement. You're not even in a relationship yet. They are celebrating something that you don't have for yourself. And you realize that that is making you feel really bad about yourself. And that trigger is linked to sense of worthiness. So in this example, you realize that it was linked to not feeling good enough, a fear of failure, like you'll never have those things for yourself, and comparison to others. So you go back to your eye. And even though the sadness makes sense for you, you realize that fearful makes more sense. And you identify the insecurity that you're feeling. You go to the definitions list and you look up insecure, inferior, and inadequate. Insecure is feeling uncertain or lacking confidence in oneself or one's abilities. That definitely applies. Inferior, feeling less than others in worth or ability, often tied to comparison. That's definitely it. And inadequate, feeling insufficient or unqualified to meet expectations, leading to self-doubt. You worry that you will never have those things for yourself. So next, you let yourself feel. And this can be really difficult, but it's so necessary. Because here's the thing, whether you should or shouldn't feel something doesn't matter. You are feeling it. So validate the feeling without pushing it away. Sitting with your feelings can be difficult. And acknowledging feelings of insecurity can be uncomfortable. But if you get caught up with a thought like, I'm such a bad person for being jealous of someone else's accomplishments, that just leads to shame, and that's not going to help you move through this. If you push away the feeling or deny it, it only gets bigger. And if you refuse to think about it, that feeling will eventually come out. Unresolved feelings get stored in the body. You could end up with random headaches or stomach aches. You may end up having arguments with others or being irritable or starting fights because you weren't able to work through those feelings. And last is employ. So this is where you use your coping tools. And in this circumstance, you think about it and you decide to journal about your feeling because you want to get all of those thoughts that are in your head out so they make sense to you. You also want to find the language and the words so that you can explain this to someone else. So your next step is to call your best friend for support because she gets it and you know that she's not going to judge you for it. After you've worked through it, you've journaled, you've also maybe practiced some gratitude, like the things you are grateful for, the place you are in your life. You've talked to your best friend, you've gotten it out of your system. Later, you decide to go for a run to clear your head. It's a good way to reset and to start over the next day. So this is an example of how to use IRULE. Managing your emotions can take time. It takes patience. And it takes practice. This stuff is really difficult. And if you don't get it right every time, that's okay, as long as you keep trying. And that's why I always say that it's okay to have big feelings. It's what you do with them that matters. Now that we've walked through the IRULE framework and explored an example of how to use it, you are one step closer to mastering your big feelings. In our next video, we are going to introduce the feelings wheel, what it is, how to understand it, and how to make it work for you. So if this has been helpful, please like and comment on the video and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I look forward to seeing you then.